never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, g'day, folks. How are you? Hope you had a bloody good sort of a weekend and didn't get up to too much mischief. You weren't taxed too hard and you got home safely from wherever you went without the dickheads impinging you in any way, shape or form. That is what I was lucky enough to do. So, yes, home finally. I did get to spend a couple of nights at the Donkey Sanctuary, though. Spent Friday and Saturday night there. Was going to shoot a bit more stuff there yesterday, but one thing led to another, and I think Sandy and Baz had plans, and I sort of fairly wanted to get back home, so we shot off early yesterday morning and got back home. I will have the vision that I have shot, which I'm sure some of you will like, and especially the trolls. We cleaned some stalls. You will see Disco, who didn't seem too interested in my tracksuit pants this time round. And May, who was carrying on like the star that she is. But you'll get a good understanding of what actually goes into the care of some of these donkeys too. Everything we shot inside the ICU. And you'll get a really good understanding of why those animals are in the care that they need, including one that Sandy and Baz get up every morning, anywhere between 3 and sort of 5 or 6 o'clock. And when it's time and the donkey wants to get up, they go out and help the donkey get up. The donkey can't get up by itself. Miranda, I want to say her name is. I might have got that one wrong. There's 2 with M. At any rate, we'll see some photos of that. And that's just an example. She has a broken shoulder, and that broken shoulder isn't going to repair itself anytime soon. It's been that way for a couple of years. It's the best it's going to be. But when she goes down of an evening and lies down, she requires a bit of help getting back up the next day. So you'll see that. I'll cut that up over the next, probably 24 hours or so. It'll probably be in tomorrow night's show. And thank you to Sandy and Baz for your hospitality, your food, and your wonderful conversation. Beautiful time. Also want to thank Ange and Craig, who I caught up with at the Junction Hotel at Raymond Terrace. I can tell you, folks, if you happen to be traveling north, south, south, north, and you're looking for a beautiful place to either meet with some friends or just have a bloody good feed in a nice location, the Junction Hotel in Raymond Terrace is a bloody stunner, right on the river, very nice, and the meal was absolutely stunning. For the first time in a long time, I had a chicken schnitzel that had a meat lover's topping on it, and I couldn't eat it all. It was just huge. Beautiful meal. Thank you once again to Ange and Craig, who are debating and leaning towards the positive side of coming on the cruise with us in May, which will be fabulous. Another couple joining. I really don't know what numbers we're up to, because people are booking through various different ways. You don't have to go through that Annette that I put up at the front of the show. In fact, Wapda went through Cruise Guru, but I don't know what he did. He managed to get an unbelievable balcony room price on his Cruise Guru site. And I went there today to try and get the same kind of deal, or to point Ange and Craig in that direction. And it's not there anymore. It's now essentially the same price as Carnival. Might be $1 or $2 less, but it's essentially the same price as the Carnival lady who you'll get on the end of that phone number that I put up at the front of the show. So up to you. It's around $1,400, less than $1,400 for a balcony room. And you can be guaranteed it's going to be a fun and interesting trip. I'm lining up a few different things, and in fact, I'm going to be talking to Vince about how we're going to prepare something that might be by way of a little presentation. We've got to also talk to the ship company and see whether or not we can actually play that out. Otherwise, we're all going to be gathered around a laptop, which isn't going to be a lot of fun. So we'll figure out that. Yes, the lottery. Now, we were talking a lot about the lottery over the weekend. We're talking a lot about the expenses of the sanctuary. Now, for those of you who may not be aware of how much we love Sandy and Baz and what they do for all the donkeys at the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary in New South Wales, let me tell you, I wish we could do so much more. But at the moment, all we can do is put this lottery on. Now, we split, and we'll do more than split. We'll give all the proceeds to the Donkey Sanctuary because they need it. They are in urgent need. Our piddly little amount isn't enough to really change things for them in any great or lasting way. It's nice to get, and we might be able to buy enough hay to feed, a few donkeys for half a day if we're lucky. That's why it's important that we try and churn these lotteries over as fast as we can. And yes, that requires people to buy tickets, which you can get at merch.vofhq.com and /Sanctuary-750, or just click on the Sanctuary 750 link. Vince put the link up there. Thanks to Vince for being behind the scenes tonight too. We've only got 26 tickets left in this lottery. There is a gram of gold up for grabs, as well as $750, and we would love to give it to you tonight. With a bit of luck, if we can get those 26 tickets sold in the next, call it 50 minutes, I'm sure Vince will let us know. So we'll be able to send that money off to you guys, and of course send off the money to Sandy and Baz and the donkeys so that they can get a little bit more of a fee. But their costs are $20,000 a month. I don't think I'm going to be telling you anything out of secret here when I tell you that a Farrier Day, which the next Farrier Day is coming up on the 8th of December. And thanks, Sandy. I'm glad I got home safely too. The dickheads avoided me. The Farrier Day coming up on the 8th of December requires 3 farriers. There are 108 donkeys, 12 of which require sedation because they won't have the farriers near their feet or the dentist near their teeth without it. Now, each of those farriers costs $2,000 for the day. So there's $6,000 to kick off. The dentist or the vet that comes along, he will want $2,500 just to do maybe 4 to 6 animals' teeth. And that's about all they can afford to get through. And then the vet has to come and administer the sedation. So there is a whole sedation team that has to come. And it's not like you can't really stretch this out. You can't leave the donkey's hooves to just keep growing or their teeth to just keep growing. They have to be sorted. And this is something that generally has to happen once every 6 weeks. And it's a $12,000 day minimum. And on top of that, Sandy, out of her own pocket, I think, goes and puts together all the food for the team of volunteers that come in. They can always do with more. All of those 108 donkeys have to be brought into the undercover area, into the farrier area. They have to be tied up individually. They've got to be, calmed and kept calm. And then the teams work through, the farrier teams work through everything. And then, of course, the dental teams work through as well. It's a huge job with not enough volunteers and nowhere near enough money. And to that end, it's putting the sanctuary at risk. Now, the sanctuary will never close, but it may have to move. And if it does have to move, that will mean a significant downsizing in how many animals they're going to be able to have on site. And I mean a significant downsizing. The animals that are already on site, if the property has to be sold or whatever, they will find a home, and homes have already essentially been found for many of the ones that will need to go. Some, sadly, like the one I was mentioning to you earlier, may have to be euthanized because they require such special care that they're not really possible to rehome unless they're put into something like an ICU, where there is somebody able to come and look after them and help them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Sadly, some of those may need to be euthanized. So if there is anything you can do, and I know you personally may not be able to do this, but you might know someone. You might know Gina Reinhardt. You might know Twiggy Dunn. You might know somebody who got $100 million in a lottery, or who is a software designer who sold the game and made $1 gazillion out of it. We need help. We need help. We need an ongoing stream of finance to help the donkey sanctuary stay where it is and able to cater for, well, many more than the 108 donkeys that are currently on site. We don't want to take too many more. Hopefully there aren't that many more to abuse, but sadly they always are coming in. And the turnover is, well, not high, because donkeys live sort of 50 odd years. So when you got one, it's around a while, and you will meet the oldest donkey that they have on the site in the video that we shot, 47 years old, and still looks not a day over 30, I got to tell you. But we're looking for a sponsor. You're right. And we are looking for a sponsor that can donate significant money every month. And that's why I'm thinking mining companies, or, you know, Gina wants to go and save the Australian netball team, who then went and shit on her. Well, I'm bloody sure that if Gina Reinhardt wanted to come out and try and help the donkey sanctuary to the tune of 10 or 20 grand a month, which at the end of the day, given the new deal that she signed with the rare earth metals that she controls here in Australia, would be a drop in a bucket of a sea of money. But it's not easy to get money out of those sorts of people. And if she doesn't have an affinity with donkeys, it might be difficult. Maybe Twiggy Forrest does. I doubt it. He doesn't mind killing koalas to put up those bloody great wind turbines, but, you know, he might have a soft spot for donkeys. Who knows? There is also something I want to warn you about with regard to donkeys. And you will see in some places, and now that I'm going to mention this, it's probably going to pop up on your Insta, Twat, Facebook feeds and all that kind of crap. I want you to be very aware of people saying, hey, if you say, I want a donkey, I want you to be very aware of companies that will come to you and say, yeah, we'll sell you a donkey or two. The price is usually around $3,500 for these donkeys. And when you get your brand new donkey or donkeys on your property, you discover they're not quite what you were expecting. That's because the donkeys that these assholes are scamming you with are wild desert donkeys. Donkeys that are otherwise branded feral and would be shot in the outback on site. I don't condone, well, it's not a matter of condoning, it's a matter of having to. Please go and watch Jack Out the Back, who is a farmer in Western Australia, ex-military guy, and he will go out and shoot 120 camels in a morning and might find a couple of feral donkeys that also get shot as well. Why? Because they do so much damage to the land that he's got cattle on and associated other bits and pieces. There's a whole story about it. Feral donkeys are not anything like the domesticated type that Sandy and Baz look after. Feral donkeys are, as you would expect, feral. You won't be able to catch them. If you do catch them and hang on to them, they're going to try and kill you. And that has been exhibited on a couple of occasions with these scammers who are coming through. And now Sandy and Baz, the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary, are receiving phone calls from these people who have, in good conscience and a desire to help, have bought one or two of these donkeys. They like to sell them in pairs, and that's because they've been caught out in the bush somewhere. They may not even be the mating pairs that were in the bush. You know, there might be two strange donkeys shoved together and sold onto your property. And from what I understand, donkeys tend to mate for life. Like they pick a partner, they partner up for life. I think that's the case. Sandy will correct me in the chat if I am wrong. I'm sure Vince will put that up because he loves correcting me. So that's something to be considered. If you are seeing these, you know, we'll sell you a donkey $3,000 or somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000 each, don't take them. Or if you do, I have been given permission to put you in touch with Sandy at the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary. so that she can advise you a little bit. Because at the end of the day, a lot of the people who are buying these donkeys are ringing the donkey sanctuary and saying, can you come and get these donkeys? And they can't. The easiest, safest, and best thing to do for those animals is to euthanize them, because they would cause all manner of trouble if they were put on the property. So there's that going around as well. So yes, folks, I want you to put your thinking hats on. Who do you know? I mean, you don't have to approach them. If you can put me in contact with them, then, you know, Sandy, myself, whoever can make a presentation, because I believe it's imperative that we keep the donkeys on the land where they are. There's over 300 usable acres there. Some of it, is low-lying. Some of it does get flooded. And right at the moment, you'd have to think that given the amount of water that they've had and the amount of sun that they've had over it, the grass should be a metre high in the paddocks. But it's not. It's very, very low indeed. And nobody seems to understand why. We were surmising it may have something to do with what they're spraying us with, that is killing the stuff on the ground, particularly the grasses. You are seeing a lot more kangaroos and wallabies, at least I am, on the side of the road, and a lot more koalas, unfortunately. I saw on the highway yesterday a lot of koalas who were crossing the road. I don't know if it's mating season or whatever at the moment. But when you're crossing a 4-lane, if you like, 2 each way, freeway that's cars traveling and trucks traveling at 100, 110 kilometers an hour, the remains of the koalas are scattered for some meters up and down the highway, and it's quite a distressing sight. So just be easy, folks. Only 5 tickets left in the draw. Somebody's gone off tonight. 5 tickets left, folks. So go to merch.vofhq and hq.com, and if you have $10, you will get those last 5 tickets. You never know, the lucky one might be in there, either for the $750 or for the 1 gram of Ainsley bullion, which brings me to the next thing we're going to chat about tonight. Ainsley and the price of silver and gold. New highs have been reached today. Having a bit of a glance at the moment at ainsley.bullion.com.au, where you can buy online, and the price you pay will be what you see it is right now. If it changes or goes up overnight, you're not going to pay that price. You'll pay what it is now at ainsleyBullion.com.au. $87.26 the spot price. So I better just go. So it's $80.18, $87.18. It was up over $88 earlier today. Now we see these bursts in the ups and downs of the price when it does a big kick like this. And I think this was a reasonably, we have winners. We have a reasonably accurate, what am I talking about? Sorry. Let's go to the spot, the price of gold. Sorry. We've got winners and put me off. $6,479.60, the spot gold price at the moment, and $87.18, as I said, for silver. The thing that you really want to look for here is the gold-silver ratio, which is the lowest I personally have ever seen it. It's sitting at $74 or $74.32, which means you need 74.32 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. We've seen that gold-silver ratio up over 100 only 4 or 5 weeks ago. It has been steadily dropping, and keep an eye on that. That is the thing that's going to make us go and get a lot wealthier. I was speaking to some people recently who took advantage of a self-managed super fund through Freedom Financial Solutions a couple of years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago now. They invested their super into a self-managed super fund and got their gold and silver from Ainsley Bullion. And they bought their silver at $45, which means that $45 an ounce, which means that right now they've doubled their money. Their gold just under doubling their money. There is no way your superannuation in Big Super would have made that kind of money in the same time frame. There is no way a bank, with your money having it term deposited away or on any other form of investment strategy that the banks will offer you, could make that kind of a return in the time frame outlined. And gold and silver is always a good bet because it's the standard. Even though there are forces at work in the world at the moment that are trying to create a false narrative about gold and silver, and that it's not really the gold, or it's not really the standard, it's not really how things are going to be measured. And this is where they flag what they're going to do going forward. Going forward, everything's going to be digitized. You can be guaranteed that even if it does go that way, it's the digital currencies will be backed by gold and probably silver at some point. Because as we are all now painfully aware, if you are a crypto follower, there's nothing you can do. If all your money is tied up in a digital token or a thing online, there's nothing you can do. If your power goes out, what are you going to do? How are you going to access it? If the power goes out in the shops, how are you going to pay for anything? So this whole thing is doomed to failure, considering that now the Australian Energy Monitoring Organisation, EMO, I think they're called, they're now predicting blackouts in Australia in 2027. Why? Well, because by 2027, the government housing fund may have built, with their $10 billion, they may have built one or two extra houses by 2027. And that's going to tip us over the edge when it comes to energy demand versus energy supply. And all the bullshit about renewables being the way forward is going to come home to roost. Have you seen anything from Chris Bowen, the man who's now got himself a job on the COP32 Climate Criers Organisation Committee, even though, thankfully, he was unsuccessful in getting their meeting to Adelaide next year, which would have cost the Australian taxpayer between $1 and $2 billion with a B dollars, because we've got to fly all these absolute numpties over here, all of the climate criers, all of the associated hangers-on and lobbyists. We've got to put them up in the finest hotels, and of course they will get to go and eat the finest food from South Australia, and there is some bloody amazing food in South Australia. And of course they will get to drink the finest wines, most of which are produced in the great state of South Australia, and all on the taxpayer's dollar. By God, they're good at spending money, don't you think? Makes me absolutely friggin' sick. People, there are a few people who need help. Rocco Vardy is one of them. He's going to the JMT court in Sydney on the 4th of December at 10:30, I think it is, in the morning. If you can go along and help support Rocco, that would be amazing. Rocco is just about, I think, at every court appearance for people in Sydney and Tamworth. And it is the Tamworth Council he's going up against who brought him into this court because of rate arrears. They are coercing him in a variety of different ways. They want him to expose his bank accounts and a few other different bits and pieces. So if you can possibly go and help Rocco and be part of the support team for Rocco on the 4th of December, that would be absolutely. I will get all those details and mention it again in tomorrow night's show. So you'll be able to know exactly where and when to turn up. Also, we're going to do a little bit of a help session here. Here's someone who needs some help. As a trans woman who has completed her transition, she finds it very difficult to find the right tampons for her menstrual cycle. Most tampons on the market cause severe irritation and leave her in deep discomfort. I've tried using a menstrual cup, but it feels a bit uncomfortable for me. I'm interested in hearing from other trans women about what products they use. I kindly ask those who want to make jokes or to refrain from inappropriate comments. The menstrual cycle is a state of mind that belongs to all women, including trans women, even though in our case, there is no bleeding. You know, back in the 70s, there was a cure for things like that. She wouldn't have had to have written a letter, but they found out that the cure was, probably going to make them more sicker than the actual problem. Lead. They found it in paint. They found it on all sorts of things. Bullets. So I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice. But when I found that today, I couldn't help but wonder. It brought a number of memories flooding back to me about our public service. It brought memories back of last week when Wade and I watched, and Nick watched something stand up from one of the tables that, a support table for the parliamentarians in the Senate, and walk out after it had done its 15-minute job on the keyboard or whatever it does. And none of us could pick what it actually was, what sex it was, or what sex it was trying to be. It was that confusing. And I'm not completely sure, but I think I may have found one lurking in the office of Julie Inman Grant. Now, can you tell me what that is? There is a Sky News story where you can get a bit of a wider shot. But usually in these sorts of matters, you have a starting point. From A to B, the transition starts with A and goes to B. But in that one's case, I can't figure out which one's A and which one's B. And clearly, that one works in a very senior position in Julie Inman Grant's office. She made a release today. There is going to be, and I sort of support this, I think, there are going to be much greater controls regarding domestic violence and all that sort of stuff on social media. Well, I support that, but I also understand that most women, and I guess most men who are suffering from domestic violence, aren't posting about it on bloody Facebook or Instagram or anywhere else. So rest assured, though, that is working for you. I wish I had been in Parliament this week. Estimates are on, and James Patterson is kicking some bureaucratic heads. We'll talk more about that tomorrow, but they're still in estimates right now. He's been firing things at government all day, or at the administration all day. And my God, some of the things that are coming out are quite spectacular. We'll talk more about that tomorrow night. So we're still looking for a little bit of help. And this time we're talking about the farmers in Victoria. Now, these farmers are facing fines for stopping VNI West getting onto their properties to start doing work for these VNI West transmission lines. Transmission lines from bloody useless wind turbines that are full of asbestos and are being put on the farmers' land unwillingly. Now, that's happening right through the Wimmera Mallee areas of Victoria. And tomorrow morning, another call out for help. If you are in the area of Victoria, sort of between St Arnaud and Rapanyup and down to Stawell, then you might be able to come along and help Benny Duxon. He has Vic Grid VNI West coming onto his property tomorrow. He has been a huge mover and shaker in the Piss Off Oznet web site or Facebook group, who are a very large farmer-centric group trying to block these, I hesitate to call them people, coming onto the property. And in fact, there's been some very interesting videos that have come out from property gates where there are a lot of farmers turning up and blocking access to these VNI people. And the video that I saw had a bloke standing there in a brand new shirt, Not a drop of sweat, not a drop of dirt on it. He was arguing for the company. He was saying that he wasn't spreading propaganda when a lovely lady was pointing out that all you're saying is propaganda and it's bullshit. Anyway, the conversation went on for a while. He obviously realized he wasn't getting access to the property anytime soon. He was just going to take it back to his bosses, and what they have to do, yada, yada, yada. Somebody asked, how long you've been working for the company, or your shirt looks a bit new. Turns out this bloke's only been working for the company for 2 weeks, but he works in this area all the time and knows how to solve these problems. The guy looks like a meathead that's come out of a union somewhere, just between you, me, and the gatepost. Maybe he's wearing long sleeves because he doesn't want you to see the identifying tattoos. Maybe not. He might be a straight guy. He might be a lovely guy. If he's a lovely guy, he'll move along quietly and leave the farmers to go and do their business and go back to his bosses and say, I don't want your job. I don't want the burden on my soul of what I'm doing to people and their properties, because that's what you're adding. You're adding a burden to your soul if you're fighting these people on this. So, yeah. Tony, do you need to attend? Mate, look, I'll show you where it is. Here is a broad glance. So the property, and it is a property. I mean, you can see it's a paddock in the middle of nowhere, right? It's a fair way from you, Tony. We're talking at least 2, probably closer to 3 hours up very shithouse roads. The easiest road, and it's not a bad road, I'll be honest. The worst part of the road is between St Arnaud and Bendigo. The road between St Arnaud and Marnu, which is the road you'd probably come on, or if you came up the other highway up to Stawell, you can work your way up north from there. The roads there are what they are, but that is the address, Willowing Road, Willaloo East in Victoria, and I'm led to believe that action is happening tomorrow at 12:30 for a 1 p.m. standoff. So up to you, Tony, if you want to go and do that drive. Tony's one of our stringers. He's, in fact, our real only stringer, I'll be honest, and what a bloody legend he is. But he lives in Melbourne, and he lives in a suburb that's sort of on the other side of Melbourne compared to this, if you like. So it's a fair drive, Tony. I'll leave that up to you. But certainly, if you want to be there for it, we will stream it live. If you can get there, that would put it at 11:30 for a 12 o'clock live stream Queensland time. So we'll talk about that in the morning, mate, or tonight. You can give me a bell. Vince and I will be having a chat after this tonight. So maybe wait until the morning and we can liaise with that, and you can figure out if that's something you really want to do or not. Talk about help required. Unbelievable. So that's the one. Benny Duxon's place tomorrow at 12:30, and it's Wallaloo East. Did I say Wallaroo earlier? I think I said Wallaroo. So it's Wallaloo and Willowing Road. Look forward to hearing from you. I spoke to Wade about that earlier today too, and he's pretty excited about it. We've got to get as many people as we can to help out the farmers, folks, and get them to push back. And, of course, those farmer groups are working extremely hard to bring their communities together. They're fighting, and the way the government does this is designed to pit farmer against farmer. There might be some farmers who are quite willing to accept the bribe being offered by these power companies wanting to come onto their property. And they will be putting pressure on their neighbours to do the same thing because, hey, look, there's good money in it and we don't have to do anything yet. Until those things start coming down and the costs blow out beyond what the contracted cost the company will provide to tear them down is, how are you going to pull 300 to 500 tonnes of cement out of your dairy farming land or out of your wheat land? Your stump jump plough isn't going to go real well over them, just between you, me, and the gatepost. So it's got to be stopped, and we can only do it with the power of the people. So more people that turn up, the better. And these invasions of these properties are happening all over the Wimmera Mallee area at the moment, and we will keep following it as much as humanly possible. Some really concerning information has come to light from New Zealand, and this, I think, in some way will also translate to Australia. I'm talking about 400 and just under 460 New Zealand transport drivers have had their licenses revoked. And, well, it's a bit of a problem. All of the drivers affected by the fraudulent license crackdown are Indian. Now, needless to say, there is a lot of very unhappy Indians right about now. It seems that an audit that's been conducted through the Transport Agency of New Zealand has discovered that a certain form of documentation has been used to provide surety that the license holder is capable and has been licensed to drive a large, heavy vehicle in another country. Now, 18 of these infractions came from Australia, 5 came from Canada, but by far the very most of them came from the UAE, 436 of them. My question is, how many UAE certified Indian drivers are currently driving B double, B triple, or quads around Australia? And will the federal government instigate some form of inquiry through the National Heavy Vehicle Registration or Registry, which has access to all drivers in all states and territories' licensing details? This has to be looked into. We are seeing an increase in heavy vehicle accidents. Some are fatal. We are seeing large increases in car accidents on our roads, some minor, some not so minor. Many are fatal. And it is because of the poor driving standards exhibited by, I believe, a number of people coming from various countries who have either little to no driving standards or who have been given a bit of paper, a bit like the flick and tick the Chinese, I don't know if they still get it, but they used to get a tick and flick, where if they went to their local police station and took their goat and cart around a prescribed pile of garbage at the end of the street, the local Chinese policeman would give them a car license. This only happened if you were going to be a student coming to Australia to study at one of our universities or to buy a 7-Eleven, presumably. So that's why we wound up with so many young people, particularly Chinese people, driving around and killing themselves and native Australians on our roads, because the driving standards are significantly different. One of them, and one of the really big differences, is how we deal with road rage. Asian countries in particular are used to being jammed together like sardines, cheek by jowl, whether that be in a car, on a motorbike, or just walking down the bloody footpath. They do not like having large areas around them. They're used to being compressed and put into tiny spaces. And they come here to Australia and all of a sudden the world opens up to them. A lot of them come through with inflated ideas, particularly a lot of young men come through with inflated ideas of truck driving, because in their country it is seen as a very good job, a well-paid job, and very consistent job. Whereas here, it's a good job. It's usually a pretty well-paid job, but the ramifications of getting it wrong are magnified significantly, because we're the only country in the world that has trucks the size of our trucks. Yes, the Yanks have got B doubles, and yes, you might see the odd triple, but you're not going to see quads and the like being hauled around generally on roads in America or India or Sri Lanka or China, for that matter. And yet here we are, seeming to reap the benefits of all these well-educated drivers. So we need to, I think, instigate some form of inquiry as to how many new Australians coming through from wherever have been given a certification or endorsement from a certain company in Dubai, which appears to be responsible for the 436 predominantly Indian people who have now had their livelihood taken off them. And so here is the question. These people have, in good faith, come to this country, New Zealand, offered up all the documentation required to get themselves certified to drive the vehicle of their choice, be that a courier van all the way up to a semi-trailer or whatever. Now, they've done that in good faith. In the lead up to Christmas, which I'm not too sure too many Sikh Indians celebrate, and it does seem to be the Sikh community in New Zealand predominantly affected here, 436 families now are not being given access to their regular paycheck. Dad isn't out delivering stuff. Couriers are not on the road delivering your Amazon or your Temu. And the country is slowly coming to a bit of a halt because there are so many Indian truck drivers on New Zealand roads. And these drivers can't just be replaced overnight. Even here in Australia, it takes a bit to drive just even a normal 18-wheeler semi-trailer. Now, admittedly, a lot of the companies that are running transportation these days are buying trucks that are automatic, and you don't really need to do anything but put it in drive and hope to God they don't ask you to back it up in some of their cases. But God help you if you had a Road Ranger with a split box in it and, had a 24 or an 18-speed gearbox, you had to try and work your way around. Most of these imported Australian drivers are driving automatic trucks. And some of them are driving even the electric ones, which I saw one. Oh, actually, I saw an electric bus the other day in a style I'd never seen before. It wasn't a truck. I thought it was. So I believe we should be starting a petition. Listen to me. If someone wants to start a petition, by all means, let's do it. Look, I think we should be writing letters to the department, the National Heavy Vehicle Department, and asking them to investigate how many of these drivers on the Australian roads now have got the same letter from the Dubai company endorsing them as either heavy vehicle or multi-combination drivers, and how many of them are dangerously on our road. You don't have to go too long or too far on our roads to run into one, quite literally, sadly, sometimes. And it's not you running into them, it's usually the other way around, sadly. So, keep an eye out on that one. Here's something nice. There's a lot of talk about the white hats coming back into all of our lives, and these are the top 10 white hats. As you can see, there might be a couple of wide open eyes with Putin, Kim Jong-un, Xi Jinping, the Turkish guy, Modi, and, of course, Donald and Melania in there too, JFK Jr. Well, I don't know. But there is a lot of talk about white hat stuff. In fact, General Flynn put a post up, which is worth reading because I believe I've only read it once, and that's why I haven't got it in tonight's show. I'll have another look at it. I believe there's a fair bit of code being put into that. So it's a very interesting reply. But here's an interesting take on all of this from Ghost Ezra. This isn't just about Maduro. Now, what we're talking about here is the president of Venezuela. Now, Trump has come out and said, get out of town, you and your family. We will give you safe passage out of Venezuela, but you must do it now. Now, the president of Venezuela, Maduro, told Trump to jam that suggestion where the sun do not shine, and he plans on staying. Now, there is no real arguments that this guy is a dictator, but what is more pressing is the fact that Venezuela now appears to be one of the seats of power, one of the seats of money, and certainly one of the seats of drug distribution channels that is probably of most significant value to the evil bastards running this world at the moment. Now, Trump has essentially told the world, do not fly over Venezuela. He's told all the drug dealers, not quite by name, but he addresses them pretty directly, drug dealers, child human traffic smugglers, human travelers, traffickers, all of the evil people in the world. Do not take to the skies in Venezuela because you will be shot down. America currently has one of its largest, if not the largest aircraft carrier in its fleet, just tootling around off the coast of Venezuela. That aircraft carrier has, I believe, over 80 attack aircraft on it. Most of those will be jets, F-35s, F-22s. There will be, a few support aircraft, but by and far they will be fighter jets, and they will be very capable of decimating anything Venezuela thinks that it can throw up. Now, for a long time, Venezuela was a great friend of Russia, and Russia and Venezuela were doing oil deals and associated other bits and pieces. That friendship has soured in the last 4 or 5 years, particularly during the Biden administration, when Putin was rather incredulous about what Biden was doing in America. And of course, the Venezuelans could not believe how lucky they got getting a demented old man in the White House who was prepared to not only throw open the borders of the United States of America, but prepared to accept every criminal and every mentally ill person that Venezuela could kick out of their jails and mental health institutions, if they indeed had any, and ship them, not walk them, they were shipped 3,000 odd kilometers to the border of Mexico and the United States, where they paused briefly, just enough to get some media coverage. And, oh, look, we've walked so far in thongs, the same pair of brand new thongs, brand new backpacks, brand new clothes. We'd walked. Oh, it was such a hard walk. Like hell they walked. They walked a block if it was that far. So Madura emptied all his prisons, emptied all his mental health institutions, and shipped them all off to America, where a great many of them still reside. Many, not many, some have been returned. Trump is doing what he can. But I don't know. I think they're fighting an uphill battle. Some breaking news here in Italy. I haven't checked this yet, so we'll wait and see. The Prime Minister of Italy has now decided they are making a move to reclaim Italy's $300 billion in gold reserves from the EU Central Bank. Now, if the EU Central Bank doesn't have $300 billion in gold, was it? Yep, gold reserves. $300 billion in gold. What do you think happens to that EU group? Well, it would be bankrupted. It would be theft. It may well be theft by deception. And it seems like this Italian Prime Minister is starting to come around. She hasn't been one of the ones that has been wholeheartedly on board with the whole idea of cleaning up the corruption, but maybe things have changed. She's also been one of these ones in photo opportunities with, the G20 and that kind of thing, where she stands back off Trump a bit and looks a bit standoffish. But at any rate, if that $300 billion coming from the EU Central Bank is not realized, expect Europe to crash. And I reckon that's going to have a fairly large impact on the rest of the world as well. Speaking of large impacts on the rest of the world, last week while I was in Canberra, this map was released. And now it wasn't released to me or to Wade or anybody else that was just a pleb walking around Parliament House. This map and the one associated with it shows a route that was going to be taken by the number 3 Chinese VIP official who was in Australia and at Parliament House last week. Now, Parliament House issued this as a notice to all parliamentary members. His Excellency, the chairman of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress of the People's Republic of China, is on Monday, and Tuesday, November 25th, going to visit the President of the Senate, the Speaker of the House, and wander through the joint. There are a variety of places. That's where he was going in those maps. I looked to the bottom of this. There may be intermittent eruptions to Wi-Fi access during the periods outlined above within the identified areas. Internet-connected devices, including phones, tablets, and laptops, should be powered down. Where devices must be used, please ensure phones and iPads are updated with the latest software version and placed in lockdown mode, and laptops should have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth switched off. This is advice provided for the information of parliamentarians, their staff, and other building occupants only. Please do not distribute further. Oops, well, somebody buggered that one right up. Well, why would that be the problem? That's probably because this Chinese guy has an entourage that goes around with him, and they would be sniffing, what's called sniffing, for any electronic signal they could get while they were walking around through there. They would have devices that would be working very hard on the Wi-Fi networks and Bluetooth networks to try and gain access to the Australian parliamentary system in any way, shape, or form. I guess that's all just part of the game, isn't it? But how the hell can it be allowed? I mean, you've practically got to strip yourself naked to get into Parliament House. We know that the Chinese are a risk. Why don't we just say, hey, all you Chinese dudes, love to have you here, but everything, all your phones, all your laptops, all your iPads, everything stays here at the door, and then you can come in. I would have thought that would be prudent, wouldn't it? It's not like they've got to send messages back home while they're having a chat with the Speaker of the House or the President of the Senate. But I know, once again, we compromise the Australian Parliament security just for the safety of the Chinese. A little bit of good news today before we wrap up. 4 men charged in a vile satanic child abuse ring in Sydney. Only 4, I find myself asking. Only 4. They were raided this morning, various different ages. They've been charged with possess, distribute, facilitate material through websites, all that kind of shit. This is a picture of the evil filth, whose name is Landon Ashton Versace Geminolta Mills. Oh, God. I wonder if that's his brother or sister. I still haven't figured that out. But at any rate, that's the filth that has been arrested and tagged as the ringleader in all of this. And hopefully that bastard manages to make it to a jail that doesn't have a segregation wing, and he just manages to get placed somewhere nicely in an area, I don't know, general population would be bloody good. So this happened today.
I'm so lucky to be able to use the taxpayer-funded lodge for my own personal parties. And I haven't even told Jodie yet that Alan's popping over to help us consummate the wedding. Peter Jackson.
I don't know who that guy is, Dan somebody. He does a bloody great job, and it's not a bad impression. And it also seems that our mining companies are fighting back. I don't know exactly how they're fighting back with this, but they're fighting back.
To Woke Mining Australia. Here, consent matters. And under no circumstances do we assume the earth wishes to be penetrated by your drill bit without prior agreement. At Woke Mining Australia, our blasts are low impact, high visibility, and fully LGBTQ inclusive. Our iron ore now comes with a special inclusive glitter blend, and it's fully ethically sourced, emotionally validated, and Sparkle certified.
I love that. Sparkle certified. Wake up, world. Wake up, Australia. God knows it's coming. It can't come fast enough. I know, for those of us that have been awake a while, but we just have to be patient. We have to keep shaking those that are refusing to listen. And when we shake them awake, folks, send them to our website, merch.vofhq.com, so that they can buy a ticket in our brand new lottery, which will have some silver. We haven't decided how much yet, or maybe we have. Vince was being a stingy prick. I'll talk him around. And $750, which will aid you, I'm sure, but also the money that we raise will also help the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary, who need all the help they can get. And as I said at the head of the show, if you can help them, it would be greatly appreciated. Love your works, folks. Looking forward to having another chat with you, same time, same place tomorrow night. And all of that will happen regardless of the dickheads on the road. It would be a lot easier missing them if you're not on it, but if you have to go out and participate, be careful, won't you?
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's rock!